So we first started working together. It was either, I guess I was working with Organic Avenue, and then I came
Mm-hmm.
in to do some juice education and sampling.
Yeah, back in the day at Trigger Media, right?
Okay.
Organic Avenue was having its moment in the sun.
Well,
Like,
I was going to ask you, actually, speaking of moment, do you remember a year or a moment where New Yorkers just started to take more initiative and started investing in their health all of a sudden?
yeah, good question. So I think it was before I started Exubrancy, because honestly, that shift, at least the first wave, was part of what sparked starting the company.
Right.
Because so I was coming off of being frankly quite burnt out running my first company. And I went to business school at Columbia. And while I was there, I got just super interested in like kind of the science of burnout. And I saw so many classmates hailing from different industries and was like, what are companies doing that's like working or not working to support people's well-being? Because it feels like a pretty common situation that people, you know, get just beyond what they can manage in terms of like their own well-being.
Yeah.
And so part of like the study that led to starting Exuberancy was like, okay, wellness in New York is like so cool. And this was like peak juice, peak soul cycle. People, I remember a article coming out when I was in business school about sweat working, which is like the new networking. No one goes to bars anymore. They take clients to fitness classes. So things were really, really hopping on the wellness front in New York, and I think in major cities around the country. But then when I looked at corporate wellness, I was like, why is this not cool? It like wasn't sexy. I think a lot of the talent that was finding their way into offices was either like, kind of individual contractors that worked relationships, or it was companies that hadn't quite gotten on board with that idea that like wellness is so cool. The people doing it are magical. Like, how do we capture that lightning in a bottle and bring it into the office? And so that was sort of like the starting point for Exuberancy.
I used to say that I would be in a ditch had I not started working at Organic Avenue, because I was going through like an extreme stress. How are you surviving this time period?
Yeah, well, so I've been running Exuberancy for 7 years now, so that
Okay.
it's been a while. So Exuberancy runs fitness, meditation, massage therapy, nutrition, all sorts of wellness programs for offices. And we, on one side, we recruit amazing wellness talent and bring them into the Exuberancy family, and then on the other side, we find amazing companies that want to, put on like a really engaging set of offerings for their people, and we design their program and then staff it with the talent. And with some of our clients, we're now serving their global population, which we weren't able to do previously because we don't have yet pros in Japan or
Oh, wow, cool. Okay.
India, et cetera. So that's been very cool. I think the biggest challenge has been that our massage therapy line of business, which is a big part of our business, really there's no way to virtualize it. So that's been tough, especially tough on our amazing massage therapists, right now.
Yeah,
It's a tough
absolutely.
time to be in that industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we figured it out, and since then we've really optimized what a virtual wellness experience looks and feels like, and we're constantly coaching our team members and working on our best practices to make sure that we're providing the best possible experience.
Yeah, it's such a great idea. I mean, I love the concept, and I was just, I know you say this a lot, but if you could just go over the benefits of wellness in the workplace.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh man, there's so many. It's so funny because like oftentimes we get asked like, what's the ROI of doing these wellness programs? And it's frankly a little bit hard to properly quantify, because it embodies so many different elements of life. Because of course, like on the like straight like wellness front, it's like stress reduction, increased productivity on the sort of like corporate, like what are they looking for, that front. But then it also serves as an amazing recruitment tool, because if you speak to a great wellness program at your company to applicants, and that really signals like what type of company you are to those people. Even I always joke, like, even if they never go to a class, at least they know that they're coming to a company or they work at a company that cares enough about them to like make these options available to them.
Yeah.
And then I think things that we're seeing, now more than ever is I think it's really important for building cultural cohesion and for building empathy amongst employees. Especially right now where like the
Right.
way that we connect with people over Zoom, it's just, of course, it's not the same. It's not natural. You're not going to get the same level of like chit chat or like checking in on people's lives that you get when you're next to someone in an office space. So to be able to come together with people in a less hierarchical setting where you can like see a different side of your colleagues and maybe be a little bit more open or they're breathe together, like that's really powerful in this weird time.
Inspiring mentors that you had along your path.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me anything about any of them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe favorite books, that sort of thing.
For sure. Well, I'll start with mentors. I would say my first like inspiring mentors really were my parents. They were both, my dad's in real estate. My mother is an architect, and they both worked for themselves when I was growing up. So I never really saw like the model of like a parent going to work for someone else. And I think that was like implanted for me, which may have sparked me feeling like it was cool to start my own first company when I was 22, and then my second after business school.
Wow.
So, and they're just like awesome, inspiring people, who've been kind of the wind at my back always. Another, I wouldn't say it was a mentor, but certainly like a inspiring figure in my life was, actually Deepak Chopra, who, I love his work. But it really came to a head when he was a guest professor at Columbia while I was there. And in his class, among other things, he taught like super simple meditation techniques that I really latched onto at a point in my life where I was like regrouping from like extreme burnout. And it was like, it completely set me on a different trajectory. And I think that introduction to mindfulness was like just so key in my life.
Yeah, how
Gratitude
amazing.
there.
Wow. To be able to see him in person. I remember meeting him as well at ABC Carpet and Home.
Yeah.
Actually, he
It's a beautiful
introduced.
space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that space. I miss it. But were you there when he introduced Thich Nhat Hanh?
I wasn't there, but that's wonderful that Thich Nhat Hanh was there.
Yeah. And I guess Deepak has his, office there where he choose to use his home base in New York. So, and do you have an influence on your parents' health? Have you been like getting them more healthy since you started Exubrancy?
Yeah, I mean, I think in certain ways for sure. The biggest would be for my mom's birthday. I think it must have been last year. So about a year and change ago. Or yeah, I gifted her 4 meditation sessions with one of my favorite Exubrancy teachers. We don't usually do private instruction, but I pulled some strings, and and they really liked it. And so now they just independently with her do a weekly session where she comes to the house, or now does it virtually. So I think that's been really good for their marriage. I think it's been good for their mental health. I think it's been great.
That's what it's all about, like helping people. I mean, that's what we say we get into healing for, is to just help people.
Yeah.
And make a difference and get sort of validated at the same time in a way. That was my opinion anyway, in my experience. But I have the family that like they don't listen to me very it's like really been frustrating. But I think my sister at one point did a juice cleanse, so that was cool.
That's a great throwback to your organic updates.
Oh, any of your, like, do you have any guilty pleasures as far as health modalities or habits or foods in your life?
Yeah. Gosh, I will say I don't feel too guilty about most things. But a few things that I would say are like indulgences. One was, so I had my daughter actually turned 1 yesterday.
Oh,
so
congratulations, Mama. Awesome. What's her name?
Her name's Amelia.
Oh, wonderful. I love it.
Thank you. And so when I was finishing up in like the last trimester and one time postpartum, I got into acupuncture, and it was like such a game changer. I actually like tried a few different places that accepted my insurance, and none of them were like quite right. And then I found this incredible practitioner in New York that like, I just like helped me so much with like the emotions and like the challenges of, being a entrepreneur who's, dealing
New
with
mom.
pregnancy
Yeah.
and being a new mom. So that was huge. And then like on the nutrition side, I like pretty much every day have like a big square of dark chocolate with like peanut butter or almond butter on top of it. And I know that doesn't, it's something, but
No,
it's like
hey, I think that's
such a
healthy.
treat. I love it.
Yeah, and I think that is really healthy because you probably won't crave a lot of sugars if you're doing a good quality dark chocolate.
Yeah.
And then you get the energy, and you're soothing yourself, and you're treating yourself to something that you deserve.
Yeah, exactly. I get
Yeah.
the Theo dark chocolate bars on Amazon in bulk. Um,
I'm really
I
liking
love Amazon.
Hue. I'm
Yeah.
liking Hue a
Oh,
lot.
I love them. I love
Yeah.
them. Actually, a friend of mine is like the CEO of the company now.
Which one
Uh,
is he?
Mark Ramadan. He's not one of the founders.
Okay.
But I actually, Who Hunks got me through delivery. They're like, a
Yes.
Hue, like chocolate covered nut situation. And so I brought them to the hospital with me, and like they like kept me alive. And so we told him afterwards, and he sent us a bunch more. So I'm like
That's
all
a
about
that's like such a great idea.
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, seriously, a good idea, because I mean, you get so tired and you need your energy. And I was up. My first labor was about 28 hours. I mean, I wasn't pushing
Yeah.
for 28 hours, but it was a long labor, and
No joke.
they needed me to sleep at some point. But I guess if I
Yeah.
had had like chocolate covered something, I might not have been able to sleep. Let's see. In meditation, what bigger role is meditation in your life personally?
Yeah. It's really served me in like different ways, I'd say, in different parts of my career and like my personal life. So, like I mentioned, I kind of started a mindfulness meditation practice while I was still in school, but that actually led me. I was so lucky to be introduced to Bob Roth from the David Lynch Foundation, who kind of took me under his wing, and I ended up training in transcendental meditation, and then got really deep into TM. For a couple of years, I was like very rigorous with my 20 minutes twice a day mantra-based meditation. And that was, I think, during some of the hardest times of launching Exubrancy. I was bootstrapping the company, and I didn't have a lot of leverage, and was honestly going a little bit insane. So I think it was like so foundational for like maintaining my cool. I eventually kind of transitioned away from that. It just like, I don't know, I think it was time constraints and just not quite being able to build, first 40 minutes and then even 20 minutes into my day. So then I kind of refound mindfulness meditation, and that's more of my practice today. But gosh, everything from like, being in labor to like everyday cool maintenance.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, now my team, we meditate together once a week, but that moment of like breathing together and like that moment of connectivity is so key for me and for us.
Yeah, I need to do a lot more than I'm doing. I am off the wagon this is with the new motherhood this time around. I'm taking the least amount of care of myself. So I've got a lot of work to do, and meditation needs to be on my list for sure.
I feel like everyone, like, there's a lot of meditation guilt that people feel. I think once you have a practice, you like know how good it is for you, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm not meditating as much as I'm supposed to, or I'm in wellness and I'm supposed to be meditating. So I think we need to like,
My life is a mess. Maybe if I meditated, things would get better.
yeah, no, but at the same time, I think be kind to yourself, and also know that some days maybe meditation is just like taking one deep belly breath at your desk and being like, okay, I'm all right. And then maybe it's 2 breaths the next day, and then maybe the next day you do 10 minutes. So it's like finding what knowing that it's there for you, and not being too hard on yourself.
Yeah, very good point. I think that's really good advice. Do you have any favorite collaborators, like a top 1 or 2 companies that you worked with that are your favorites?
Oh man, it's so hard to choose. It's so funny because like I said, we've worked with over 600 companies, and yet like so many of the relationships are so personal. We've worked with a variety of different contacts over the year, but like we're so so proud of like the trust that companies have built in us and the relationships. I gotta say, I feel bad for choosing favorites. We really, really love working with Spotify. They just do such creative things. They have such like an ethos of like investing in people's like mind, body, spirit. They even have like a heart and soul department that's like
Wow.
looking out for mental health, and they run a lot of the meditation programs that they do with Exubrancy.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and just like a excitement about like getting creative, different marketing techniques, like filming videos with instructors, and like they really take things to the next level. And I feel like they make us a better organization, and hopefully we make them a slightly better organization, and it's
That's
very
awesome.
collaborative. So
That's a
that's
good
that's
one.
definitely a love story.
Yeah. What about any clients that, like, if you could choose any organization to go into in the world that you haven't gone into yet, who would you choose
Ooh,
to
that's a
help?
great question. Honestly, I've been very interested in like, now that I know so many of our client organizations well, and I've built a couple companies, I feel like there's still such a lack of deep understanding for me of how like government organizations really operate and like how they could be optimized. I think this is like a moment where like everyone's consciousness is like raising a little bit on like, you know, how tied to our well-being our governance is in this country. And so to support organizations that are helping, run the country, I think is fascinating. Any practices that we could bring that would help, reduce stress, build empathy, build bridges, like would be so fascinating. So I
I
think,
think that's a great idea.
yeah, the government, the military, like those are like organizations that I think are so fascinating, and I'd be honored to work with.
Right. That's just a wonderful idea. I'm sure there's some opportunity out there heading your way.
Always open to opportunity.
And I was just going to ask you, like, do you have any ideas or any new brainchild on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I do. I always do. I don't have anything that I'm like necessarily pursuing at this moment. Though I have started, angel investing in some companies that I think are cool in all sorts of different spaces.
Good.
Definitely, I'm, in investments, and then in things I might, one day pursue. Very focused on social impact. I think with Exubrancy, it's definitely never been about like the financial return per se. It's really about like return, like what, how many lives are we able to impact positively, and how many lives do those people impact positively. And I think that government is super interesting, not necessarily like running for anything, like that's probably not something I would do, but like figuring out how to clearly I'm echoing what I said earlier. I think I just figuring out how to
Yes.
positively impact government is fascinating.
Totally agreed. I would support that 100%. Yes. I'm just curious about coffee. What's your stance on coffee?
I'm That's a great,
As I drink my cup of
yeah.
coffee here.
I do 1 cup a day,
Mhm.
and usually it's more like a half cup, but I feel like that's partially me being cheap because I buy Wandering Bear cold brew, and I like savor like a half cup of Wandering Bear a day.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, everything in moderation, and I think if you find that coffee helps you feel more grounded, especially during these times, like finding those little moments of joy is essential. I have
Yeah.
friends that have eliminated coffee and say it changed their life. So like try,
Yeah, it's different for
if it's
everybody.
serving you, keep it going.
I go in and out, I just was kind of curious as a New Yorker. I assumed
Yeah,
coffee.
I love coffee.
I do too. I do it like fun. I make it really healthy. But yeah. Okay. Well, good luck over there. I'm thinking about you, and
Thank
thank you for
you.
talking, and thanks for helping
So
make this
good
world.
seeing you. Really awesome reconnecting. And looking forward to talking more soon, I hope.
Yes, we will definitely be in touch, and best of luck
Awesome.
with everything.
Thank you to you too.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.